Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, me and Eli get really mad.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Michael Spiffle-Webbin.
I am Sam Allman.
And I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And today we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Xenogears. This time we're playing chapters 34 through 38 from Reaper Ship through Babel Tower, stopping at the first save point in Shabbat. So, before we get started, how y'all doing?
I am doing okay. I'm not doing the best. Well, as of this morning, I'm doing pretty good. But this whole week has been really stressful because my employer, who is not Waymo, I work for a company that works for Waymo, but they messed up on payroll and only sent everybody who works for them $10 last week. So they were like, oh, we'll fix it by Friday, and by Friday I mean Monday, and by Monday I mean Wednesday, and by Wednesday I actually mean Friday. And so I've gotten my second paycheck before my first paycheck.
So that's what happened today.
Yeah, so today I got my second paycheck and everything's okay. But for a week I had $10 to feed a family of 3, and it was rough. Thankfully, the building that our office is in has free snacks. So I would every day I would go into work, I would come home with like some fruit for Scarlett, some goldfish for her, a snack, get, me and Summer some chips, get Summer a coffee. Everything was okay.
Yep.
But this morning I got paid, so everything is okay.
Yeah. Biggest grocery store trip ever.
Yeah. Gonna like
HEB represent. Oh, I miss HEB.
Yeah, you know the grocery trips where like you replace like baking soda. You're so low on groceries, you just get
all the shit that's long term investments. Even that shit you have to buy.
Yeah, that's going to be today.
Well, there's your paycheck, but still.
Yeah.
What about you, Eli?
I'm doing okay. Not really anything amazing going on. Not anything horrible either. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm good.
How's it on morning shift again? Are you well rested and happy?
I'm never well rested. But yeah, I'm doing much better.
That's good.
It's fake, actually, just like sex.
I know that you've been playing Hollow Knight, so
my god,
things are at least more productive, even though that's a toxic way to look at things now that you're on morning shift.
Hollow Knight has been really good for me.
Good.
I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I have been meaning to watch, but I just have zero time to watch with my new job.
That's understandable.
I've been in RPG land for so long. I can't wait to play an action game again. So I'm really excited to get around to Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
it's so good. I've been watching speedruns of it too, and my mind is so freaking blown.
When did the game originally come out? I know there's different versions of it, but when did it first come out on PC or whatever? Was it still this year?
2017.
Okay, so speedrunners have had a bit of time to work with it then.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
because sometimes a game comes out, and even though it just fucking came out, people love it so much that the speedrunners are already going nuts like a week after the game comes out. So I was curious. Yeah. That's how Celeste was. Oh my god.
They've already released a bunch of DLC for it too.
Oh nice.
Yeah. And there is more to come.
One of my favorite things about the Hollow Knight speedrun is it's so simple, but it's like mind-blowing that for some reason gravity turns up to 1,000 when you pause. Hi, Scarlett. I love you, baby. But, they'll
pull up the menu and they'll fall faster.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's super dope. And so you just see them like jumping over this pit, and then they pause, and they're at the bottom of the pit, and they're just like, I just saved like 5 seconds of falling. It's pretty
that's
great.
Not even used for crazy skips, it's just used to save time falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually that, because I was looking this up, they use the Chinese client typically too, because apparently just the Chinese text is faster.
Right. Yeah.
And I was looking up like information about that, and somebody was bitching about how the pause trick no longer works. So I think maybe they patched that out because they were like, "Does Hollow Knight hate speedrunners? Does Team Terry hate speedrunners?"
Yeah.
Come on. If they're patching something out, it's because they don't want it there, and it's not going to kill you.
Yeah. Most literally any indie dev who knows anything about anything loves speedrunners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if they patch something, it's because they thought it was the thing that it's because they wanted to do it regardless of the speedrunners. But don't worry, one day I would love to make a game that, like, honestly, that would matter more to me than selling a zillion copies, is if I made an action game and it got big with the speedrun community and someone like ran it at GDQ. I would be like, I'd be like the prettiest girl at the ball, right? If that happened, like, that would be like my career goal right there, you know? And I feel like most developers feel the same fucking way.
Which reminds me, speaking of wanting games to be at GDQs and stuff, one of the games I wanted to play next year, and this is the one I was trying to remember yesterday off mic, but I remembered it now, is Shadows of Adam, and I found out about it because it was at RPG Limit Break, and the speedrun looked cool, and it's an RPG, and I'm like, we can do that.
Nice.
We play RPGs. It's an RPG.
It's an RPG. Yeah. So, anyway, as far as I'm doing, there's a whole lot going on. Some good things, some bad things, some unexpected things, some weird things. And I won't go into any of it because I don't feel like it.
Nice.
However, I am extremely sleepy this week. I have had normally I don't go to work until like 3 or 3:30 p.m. and then I work later in the evening. But I've had some dumb work bullshit in the morning at like 11 or 10 every day this week. So, in addition to my normal work, so that's lame, and that's continuing. So I'm real tired. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Alrighty, so let's talk about this damn game. So last time we met a cool Catholic guns braster, and decided to go with him to investigate a weird ship. So we have this ship dungeon. It's real good. I like it. This game really gets into a groove with its dungeons, where they're all like, most of its dungeons, with the exception of one we'll talk about at the end of today, are like about the same length. I would say they're all like relatively brief, but and they're also, interestingly enough, they're all this one especially is small, like geographically speaking. It's a ship, and it's a small transport ship, and it's not like, on the outside it looks like a small transport ship, but once you get on the inside, it's this massive labyrinthine dungeon, which makes no sense. Like, no, it looks like a small transport ship. It's like a little train. You've got a few different cars with a top and a bottom room, and that's the size of what it is. Technically, I guess you could say it's a hallway, but like, why would it not be a hallway? Again, this is literally a vehicle that you're inside of. I really like this dungeon. It's got... realistically side has a great sense of place. Nothing much happens. Does anything really happen before you get to the boss? You just kind of go through it, right?
No, you just go through it.
You go through it fighting zombies, wells, or reapers. And at the end, you fight a recolor of Red Rum. And they even mention it's like his brother or something.
Which then is like super cool in a way, because like this dungeon had like zero like plot, like talking about things happening, especially because it's mainly was just us scratching Billy's back so that he'll join the party forever. But but with the whole Red Rum thing, you then, because like when you saw Red Rum, that was your first Wells, and you didn't even know that it was a Wells at the time. You just were like, oh, he turned into a freaky sewer monster. But now you know that little boy's dad it would turn into like a literal zombie. And also there were zombies in Kislev, so Kislev's going to, I mean, they're already going to all die because of the aforementioned explosions, but they're all going to die because they're zombies over there. And it's just like, well, shit. Why isn't this the plot?
It's kind of funny. I realize now that it's a pretty common JRPG trope, stretching all the way back to like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy IV, where at the beginning of Final Fantasy IV, they're like, I'm a knight, I'm doing normal stuff. And then there's monsters, and then you talk to an NPC in the town, and they're like, monster fighting sure have increased lately. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's a very common trope of like there are a lot more monsters than there used to be. So it's like the world, as a general concept, is just going to shit because evil is increasing, and that's actually happening here. They just didn't open with it. It's been a more low key. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because having played the game, that is a thing that's happening. That's not on accident. But I didn't really think about it either until Sam brought it up. So nice. Yeah. Nice pointing that out, Sam.
It's super cool. I also wanted to remind you killed a little boy's dad. So.
Yep.
Congratulations.
So you beat the small sized wells, and then you go outside, and what should happen? But just as I predicted last time, all of the turns out that they were collecting the collectors were collecting humans so they could make a giant Reaper human. It's literally what happens. And it's a 3D model, not a sprite, so you know you're going to be a gear fight. But they're like, shit, what do? We don't have our gears. Like, what do we do? And then there's this hilarious little scene where we cut back to the orphanage, and it turns out that Billy has a gear, and it's orphan powered.
Yeah.
It is powered by the soul of a forsaken child.
Yes. So anyway, they what happens is all the literally the orphanage has a gear hanger dock underneath it, and the little kids, two of them are seesawing back and forth on a seesaw, and that opens the door, and then another one. They all work together to launch this gear, and they launch it into the fucking sky, and it travels a quarter of the way across the world map, and then literally Billy jumps into the cockpit as it passes by. They have this operation down tight.
Especially because the Wells is coming closer, and Saitan's it was Saitan for me. He could have been somebody else for you. It's we're running out of time. I think we're all about to die, and Billy's like, wait for it. Jumps in, and it's great.
It's pretty goofy.
I know that Billy is supposed to be the Blue Ranger, but he was literally the White Ranger right here. He just played on his little flute, and then his Zord came from across the fucking screen.
Brief aside. This is our first experience with Billy. How do y'all liking Billy?
I like Billy a lot.
I do too.
He's the fucking shit.
I also, in this dungeon, because I didn't have Faye, because he was still sick and shit, I started using Ellie, and so now my main squeezes are Faye, Billy, and Ellie. If I could do Saitan, Billy, and Ellie forever, I would, but I keep having to use Faye because he's still protagonist and shit.
Yeah. Billy's real good. His guns are, all of the animations are so fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
I love how he pulls the shotgun from his back and swings it under his arm to put it in position, and he always just kind of slouches all chill.
Yeah.
He just shoots them a whole bunch. Although his death blows are funny because it's his normal attacks are he shoots them. His death blows are just he shoots them.
A lot.
Also he's the only character where the attacks are notably different, because usually it's just light, medium, and heavy attacks. But his ether attacks are literally a different type of attack.
Yeah.
And a lot of the enemies in this game are weak to ether or weak against physical. And so you might see that if you use your medium attack on enemy, it does almost no damage. Or it might be that if you use your medium attack, it does way more damage.
Or it might be a couple of the Wells, because his two starting ether bullets are one's water and one's fire, and the big Wells heals itself if you use fire. And so I'm just sitting there doing my little death blows, and I'm healing the bad guy. I'm just God damn it.
I always got lucky and happened to have an element that was like neutral for the enemies. So it was really more just like, oh, their ether defense is low for me. I don't think I ever got any where I had the right elemental attack, but I don't think I ever had the wrong one either. I mean, there's 4 elements, so you got a 50-50 chance of it being strong or weak.
Yeah.
Or the other 50-50 chance is that it just does regular damage, which is what I think I always got.
Nice.
But it's also interesting because like one of the death blows, you hit square to start it, but then when you actually do the death blow, it doesn't do ether damage. So that's one of them. So like you do ether damage at first, but then the death blow does regular damage. And yeah, I don't know. It's Billy's cool. I like him a lot.
Billy's really cool.
He's got
really
the coolest looking robot.
Yeah, this robot has a cape. Like,
yeah,
imagine
because that's what a robot needs.
Imagine getting being the seamstress to get the order for a giant gear-sized cape.
Oh my god! Yeah. Cool. Apparently, there was a really funny line here that I wanted to go back and get, but I forgot. So whatever. Another line. Before the big bug boy shows up, somebody goes, "Well, get ready, cause here it come," which is always nice. One thing that's cute is after the cool dramatic cutscene, you are fighting this big bug boy on the Yggdrasil. Like you're just on top of the Yggdrasil fighting it. But funny thing is, if you recall, Bart with Brigandier has a special move that calls the Yggdrasil to do like a bombing run. And you can definitely use it during this attack, and it makes in battle, and it makes no fucking sense. So you just get this little cutscene of the Yggdrasil flying overhead and dropping bombs, and then it's like, oh, we're still on the Yggdrasil, and we're still fighting.
If people like this game nearly as much as they like Final Fantasy VI, that would be suplexing the train for me. Just bombing the Yggdrasil while you're on the Yggdrasil.
While you're on the Yggdrasil, yep. Yeah, so that was that dungeon. Probably takes like 30 fucking minutes to do the whole thing. It's great. It's just like wham, bam, boom. Good times.
And then we have another dungeon that Spiffle forgot about last week. He was like, yeah, you just got this short little dungeon and some cutscenes and then a big dungeon. But no, here's the second dungeon.
Yeah. Well, no, there's actually 2 more dungeons. There's the Ethos headquarters, right?
Yeah.
Where we're headed.
So you go. So they're like, okay, we completed the mission. Time to go back to the Ethos. And the whole time I'm thinking, the whole point of this mission is to get me to leave the Ethos headquarters. That way, when I come back, something dramatic can happen.
Yep.
And that's exactly because of course nothing dramatic can happen when you're in a place, right? Everyone knows the JRPG way is that you come to a place and see that something dramatic has happened before you got there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go back to Ethos headquarters, and everyone is dead. They're all dead, or close to dead. And there's signs that Jesse did it because of the bullets that are used. Billy has his lab shoot a bunch of different bullets into concrete, and then he analyzes the way that it affected the concrete with this twist, and then he reverse engineers and assembles the bullet, and then gets a fingerprint off of the bullet, and then he's like, it was Jesse. And I'm like, how is the movie that's otherwise this good have such a stupid scene in it? Y'all remember that from The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fucking stupid. Greatest detective, yeah. Anyway, so you go downstairs to the sci-fi hall. So anyway, so he's like, did Jesse come and kill all these Ethos people? Did my dad do a terrorisms? So you get into the sci-fi hallway.
My favorite thing is I had Bart with me at the time, and Bart's like, I mean, Jesse is the type. He's the type to just do terrorism.
Like, he fucking would. That's racist against cowboys. Wow, you're saying all country western cowboys are terrorists?
Hashtag not all cowboys.
So anyway, you go downstairs to the sci-fi hallways and you see Bishop Stone getting attacked by Wells, and he says by assassins. And he says
that's
stuff
not
like,
Bishop Stone. That was the Pontiff.
Oh yeah, I used the wrong religious word here because I couldn't remember which one it was. I was like Pope. Archbishop, whatever, some dude, right? Church guy. He says stuff like, "Oh, it was discovered," and the assassin is like, "Don't go against us." So at that point, at least for me, and the party members remark on this pretty quickly too, it becomes relatively clear what's happening, which is that, these assassins are sent by someone who the Ethos have betrayed somebody. And now the people who they've betrayed have sent assassins to assassinate all of them. Yeah, so then there's the scene where you discover that everything is a lie. Yeah, so hold on, where is this cutscene? All right, got it. Here it is. Okay, so you see this computer room, and they're like, "This is the Ethos databanks," and Billy's like, "The Ethos databanks?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's the room where they have all the Ethos data," and someone else is like, "They store Ethos data here," and this is how this game is.
Its dialogue isn't awkward at all.
Point is, you go to some fucking Ethos databanks, which no one's allowed to go to. Billy's not allowed to go to. You have to be like the top level. You have to have the most midichlorians, the most what are they called? Thetans,
you have to be
or whatever,
in the top percent of all Ratata.
Yeah, exactly. So you go in there, and they find out that the church is just a thing created by Solaris in order to control people, and that's all it is. There's a lot of plot here. They just explain it in a couple different ways. Like, they kind of explain it multiple times, but not in a redundant way. Kind of in a like getting different bits of it kind of way.
Yeah.
Long story short. 500 years ago, there's a great war that occurs between Solaris and land dwellers. And just FYI, this is me reading what Ellie is saying, and Ellie is reading it off of the computer. So 500 years ago, there's a Solaris and land dweller fight. Because it's not clear what the outcome was, but after the war, Solaris feared another land dweller revolt, so they built the gate or barrier that separates Solaris' land from the rest of the world's land, which we already talked about. But because the land dwellers were a separate race now from Solarians, they needed to be supervised. So to carry out the supervision, they made Ethos, and Ethos is controlled by the Gazelle Ministry, which is the highest government of Ethos. And so Ellie says, so yes, the, quote, Ethos is really a, quote, front, or a subsidiary organization working for Solaris. That's only 2 quotes in one dialogue box. That's not too bad.
Just wait.
Yeah, so basically Ethos is always doing all these excavations they're doing and natural resources and stuff. They transport that shit directly to Solaris, and they also include, quote, human resources, or people used for manual labor, and so on. Ellie's just saying it like it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, that's how we get our slaves. So Ethos is the middleman between the land dwellers and Solaris. It's how they exert all of their influence on the surface world.
So, like, this game has been fairly, like, political and involved in its world sense, and it's been really, really cool, because it's like, okay, well, it's Ave versus Kislev, but Ave is backed by this mysterious bad guy, but then also, like, on both sides just messing up stuff are these other mysterious bad guys, and then you have Groff, and you have all these people are all, like, different working parts, and this chapter was just like, I kind of can't keep up with that, so let's just make 2 of them into one thing. It's just like, let's just make Ethos and Solaris the same bit, and we'll go from there.
And then they're like, what else is there? And she's like, yeah, most of his data is just excavation records, population distribution, skull shapes, But then she goes,
that S you make with the 6 lines.
The cool S.
Astucy.
But then she goes, the amount of detailed information about races and their biological data kind of concerns me, though. Yeah, they're doing race science. And then they find out there's a lot of people who live in Solaris. Oh, and it turns out most of the people who go to Ethos seeking spiritual salvation are just, like, shipped directly to Ethos. They're like, welcome, fellow, directly to Solaris. They're like, oh, you want to serve God? Get in this van. And Billy's like, that's ridiculous, I've never heard of anything like that. And Rico's like, what happens to all those people that come here looking for help? And he's like, they go off somewhere to a pasture.
I thought there was a ranch in Maine where all of the people went.
Yep. Yeah, so they talk more about the slave labor. So then there's a second way that you get to look at it is, it turns out it wasn't literally like, hey, let's invent religion to control people. It was more like they just created Ethos as an organization to they mentioned earlier, collect data and excavations and shit. But it was just like, it eventually just developed into this religious thing kind of organically, which is interesting. It's like they were already helping people with like medicine and stuff, so it just developed like superstition and yeah, it wasn't super explicitly explained, but I thought that was a cool little fact. So anyway, yeah, so you learn everything's a lie, and what's going on exactly is that so we've heard that Ethos had a big excavation project, right? They're doing some big thing. Solaris didn't order them to do that. They're doing it on their own. It started 19 years ago. They want to excavate the ancient ruins and use those weapons to overthrow Solaris. Solaris found out about that and sent assassins to stop them. So I love how they're like, oh, they want to excavate the ancient ruins and defeat Solaris. It's like, oh, so they're good. No, they want to defeat Solaris so that they can rule the world. And it's like, oh, they're not good at it. That's bad.
But you get your choice of topping.
Exactly. That's good.
The topping is also cursed.
That's bad.
Sorry.
So Jesse actually came here to save the actual devout Ethos, because there are a lot of people who actually do believe in the religious stuff and want to help people. Basically everyone except for like the 3 people who know the big secret are just regular old religious folks. There's a really fucking funny part where one of the bad guys is about to like stop him, right? And then all of a sudden he gets shot and he falls over, and then Jesse shows up and they're like, oh, Jesse, you saved us. Also, you killed that guy. And he goes, it was just a stun bullet.
Yeah.
Which is literally a joke that we make in Dinosaurs in Text. This game is very non-violent, except there's a part where you cause a bunch of different bad guys to shoot each other, and then the narrator goes, but it's okay, because they were stun bullets. But then Jesse says, yeah, Billy, you should have been able to tell it was stun bullets by the sound it made. God, I thought you were good at guns. Anyway, but then there's this other part where Verlaine, who is one of the really bad high-up Ethos people, is talking about how, Ethos is really... That's how he tells them about how Ethos, like how religion is fake and shit. But then he says, he also
has like shitty infosec. Like he should have just killed Billy and taken the secret to his grave, but instead he does a villain monologue.
Yeah, he should have been more like Undyne. So at any rate... Then we get another twist, which is in addition to all the bad stuff that they do where they're selling people as slaves, the church is also keeping little boys and little girls, and they're used to satisfy the sexual desires of the pontiffs and bishops.
Yeah.
That's a twist, and not connected to real life at all.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But that's funny, because that's not the bad guys that were doing that. That was the presumably... not bad guys that were doing it. So they're all bad. It's like...
It's bad all the way down.
The high-up bad guys were secretly selling people as slaves and being servants of Solaris. The lower-level bad guys, who weren't involved with that at all, also were molesting children.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So that's why he's saying, like, Solaris isn't actually bad. It's actually these guys who are bad. And I'm like, look, they're all bad. Just
Everybody's bad, just in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Verlaine...
We got pedophiles and we got space Nazis.
Yeah, you can't say Hitler wasn't bad because at least he wasn't a pedophile. Like he still was bad.
Yeah. So then Verlaine is like, God, or Billy's something like, God will judge you for your sins, and Verlaine's like, God, where does such a being exist? You should know by now how the Ethos came about. Can't you see that just a divine being... Can't you see that such a divine being just, quote, never existed from the beginning?
Wow. Yeah.
This game starts using quotes real good at this point.
Yeah.
Then I think he gets
all of these quotes should go to the subreddit that hashtag suspicious quotations or whatever.
So then I think they end up shooting Verlaine's ass. And the rest of
Stein does, because he's like, you're telling all of our secret information.
Yeah. So then Bishop Stone shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm the Inquisitor sent to Earth from Solaris. You thought that you were saving wandering souls, but actually... it's like you thought you were taking people. That's why you shot all those zombies, right? Well, it turns out ... and then you don't figure out what it is because Jesse's like, shut up, man. Don't tell him that all the zombies are actually humans.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the twist, right? But Jesse's like, shut the fuck up, dude. And then let's see, Jesse and Stein go way back. Stone's name is actually Stein. Great infosec there. You really changed it. He's like, I am Mr. Snrub.
Yeah. Well, he changed it from German to English. Like, that's literally all he did.
So here's the best fucking part, okay? He's like, and these lines are, these quotes are almost, no, this is back to back. Okay, so just listen to this. It's so good. Stein goes, hearing that name vividly brings back a pleasant twinge of pain to the, quote, scars on this body. You know what I mean, Josiah? Heh, your brain still isn't working right. Answer me, why do you have such, quote, a roundabout way of doing things? And then Stein says, that's not worth wasting my breath answering. Just consider it, quote, my reward in life. I just like, it's such a weird way of writing. Why did they do this? Who translated this game and why? Did they do it the way they did it?
I have no idea. I don't think the person actually knew what punctuation was.
Is there something weird about it?
Well, it's also like sometimes they use the quotes to be like actual quotes. Sometimes they use them as emphasis, which really bothers me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not how you emphasize something. Like, maybe you can use the dashes. You've used the dashes before. Just do that.
Yeah, it's like, it's not only weird, it's inconsistently weird. Like, we made like this same joke in chapter 1 about all of the dashes and like, why didn't they just use quotes? And now we're just like, please use the dashes.
Yeah, we at least those made sense. We were used to them. Yeah, it's good shit. So anyway, whatever. That's the end of this. There's a big twist. There's lots of exposition. So then Bishop Stone is like, I'm carrying out the purge, so I'm going to run away and get in a giant Metal Gear, and I'm going to go attack Thames. And then the giant butt plug appears and shoots the hell out of Thames. Am I missing anything here? That's basically it, right?
Yeah,
that's basically it.
So...
The only thing that happened here is my RetroPie kept crashing, so I played everything up to this point 3 times this week.
Yeah. So just a bunch of shit is hitting a bunch of fans. And the whole time I'm like, Stein, he's just this small little bishop dude. Like, just fucking kill him. Like, there's so many parts where villains are monologuing, and they could just kill him.
Yeah.
Like, just shoot his ass. Why does he actually get away? It makes no sense that he gets away, but he has to get away like 5 more times before you actually kill him at the end of this chapter.
Yeah. And one of which he escapes like through a dungeon and you chase him, and in the end he was just like, even if you take forever, he was just one room ahead of you the whole time, and it's like,
yep,
just shoot him through a door. Like,
come on, man. Especially Saitan, you're spiritually high, right? Just run and get him. So anyway, so Krellian is the captain of the butt plug. He's gonna get the treasure before. Oh, right. Sorry, we skipped the brain ball scene. So I actually like this brain ball scene. It kind of makes sense.
I'm starting to kind of understand these weird brain ball people.
Well, also this one's just a little bit less weird, I think. They talk about how basically all their underlings are getting out of hand. They're like, Bishop Stone was just supposed to purge people. He's just way overdoing it. He's wildin'. Krellian, who's a character we the player have not met yet. Krellian is way too obsessed with this biotechnology in Atlantis. Brainball's like, I don't really get it, but whatever. As long as the underlings are doing their duties, I guess they can also do their other shit. It's annoying, but I guess they can just... I guess we'd have to deal, I guess, is what they say. So they're kind of annoyed. So then we finally meet Krellian, captain of the butt plug. He's like... I thought he was saying he was going to get the treasure before Stein does, but that's actually not true. Stein was working for him, so I don't know. He had already shot the heck out of the Thames, but it's not totally dead yet. So then this is where you learn where the Reapers come from. Oh, the Reapers aren't just a naturally occurring force of zombies. They come from Solaris because he's got Reapers on his ship, and he's like, let's shoot a bunch of Reapers onto the Thames so that they can attack it.
I just imagine like a giant, like comically oversized cannon when they just like stuff zombies into it and then just
shoot them.
light it and then just.
It's like the fucking Garden versus Garden scene in FF8, except they're just shooting zombies at each other.
Yeah.
No, like no, it's not a cannon. It's like a giant, it's like a big fucking darn it, what's it called? It's like a catapult, but better. Like a giant fucking trebuchet.
Trebuchet.
but then they shoot you the zombies, and what do? You gather them all up in a wheelbarrow, put them in your own trebuchet, and shoot them back.
Yeah.
You're like, no, these are your zombies. We've got a zombie problem, and we want you to have it. Dude, so in this town that I'm in Oakland, there's this person who's running for one of the political offices, and they're like, my solution to the homeless problem is to just make all the homeless move to Fremont.
What the hell?
Wow.
It's like, A, that's inhumane. B, that's extremely offensive. And C, what does Fremont have to say about this? And D, this is the best part. The political office you're running for does not have the power to do anything remotely related to that.
So you just let everyone know that you're an asshole and it doesn't even like work politically.
Yeah, it doesn't work politically. It doesn't work pragmatically. It doesn't work morally. And also, you're literally the city auditor. You don't have the power to take all the homeless population and push them somewhere else.
What if we just took all the homeless and pushed them somewhere else?
That's literally his fucking political platform. It's so stupid. I hope I don't get sued by that guy. In case he listens to our podcast.
What are the odds he's going to listen to our podcast, really?
So anyway, so the captain is like, all right, everyone reverse course, run away from the bad guys. We'll show them how real men of the sea retreat. Which I admire his willingness to go against masculine stereotypes and not have to charge in there for the sake of manliness. So good on you, Captain. I feel like anything he does is what real men of the sea do.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, I'll show you how real men of the sea eat food.
Look,
I'll show you how real men of the sea take care of a baby. I'll show you how real men of the sea how real men of the sea support their friends.
So we just learned that Catholicism is fake. So now we're learning that masculinity is also fake.
Yes.
This game is just tearing down all sorts of barriers. It's great.
It's so good.
Yeah, so you get there, and I feel like they cut something here. I feel like they were gonna add like a whole like defend the Thames section. But you get there, and he's like, we got this.
There's not even, like, reapers around. There's not even, like, anything dangerous. You just go to, like, the regular Thames. And, like, when you show up, you can take the time to fight Big Joe in speed and win his long dark cloak, and it's super awesome. But, like, you get there with no sense of urgency. You're just like, oh, hey, Big Joe, you want to play some cards?
They're like, yeah, we just fought off a bunch of reapers, and we're actually pretty beat up, but we're fine. Go ahead and go to the underground place. So you're like, okay, bye. So you go to this cave that leads to like a tunnel, and then it leads to like an underwater like Atlantis, like fucking what's it called, Gungan City situation. And Graf is just chilling underwater, just watching dramatically because that's what he does. And Miang is like, yo, he will awaken soon. His friends are going to Zaboam for the treasure. Who is it that is asleep right now whose friends are going to Zaboam for treasure?
I can't think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Fabio?
Fabian? Fred?
Fabian Society?
Fukushima?
Fukuyama? Fart? Fart's brother Fart? Anyway, Miang's like, I want the treasure actually. So Graf's like, alright, I'll go get the treasure because we're all going for the treasure right now. So you go through this dungeon and Ellie is getting hecka deja vu. She's like, oh, I feel like I've been here before. Maybe in my past life. Something.
I didn't bring Ellie on this one. This was when I was missing Ellie real bad, and I mentioned it in the chat, so I didn't get any Ellie stuff.
She has to show up later.
Yeah.
No, Ellie has a big bunch of cutscenes later. Maybe the game forces her into your party in a little bit, maybe?
No, I don't remember any cutscenes with Ellie.
Maybe this shit's optional. Damn. Okay, well, you're about to learn some shit.
Yeah, let's do
it's
it.
pretty elaborate, actually. So yeah, okay, I'll tell you what's happening. So there's a part. So you're mostly just going down elevators and going in through, like, what do you call it? Just hallways, and the battles are all predetermined. There's no random battles, which is nice. You see the battles on the field. It's always like Solaris soldiers, and you run up to them and you fight them, and they're all super easy, which is nice. So you end up going through this. Have you all played Super Metroid?
No.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, for those of you out there who play Super Metroid, it's like that really wonderful part of Super Metroid where you're going through the tunnel that is going through the water. And if you recall in Super Metroid, that's a really important place because you use your super bombs to blow up the tunnel to get into the water level. This is kind of the same thing. You're going through this glass tunnel through water, and you're like, I really hope nothing happens to this glass tunnel.
Nothing bad will happen here at all.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's really, no, sorry. The whole thing is glass. It's more like it's a bridge. Anyway, so you cross up a high hallway overlooking the enormous ancient city. And there's enormous ancient Gungan city. And Ellie's like, I remember this place. I remember, like, being dead in a huge mausoleum.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's cool. And then they're just like, she's just like, whatever, let's just keep going. So then you get to the end of the dungeon, and Ellie is having a day, let me fucking tell you. Let's see. She says she was buried in the vast mausoleum. Okay, so first of all, you get to the very bottom, and there's some really good foreshadowing here. You want to go into the emergency reactor, and they're like, oh, you have to fill out the presidential emergency reactor form to go in here. And then you do that, and it says the emergency button inside the reactor was last activated 34,999,999 hours ago. So that's always fucking cool. It's like, yeah, the last time somebody was here was like 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Ellie's like, so then Ellie starts having some more wild and flashbacks. She literally just says for no reason, she's just like, she has been here all by herself for all this time. Eli, did you have Ellie here?
No, I took, maybe I did. No, I don't think I had Ellie for that.
Okay, because
you need Saitan, and I took Billy and Bart, and I
did too.
I wished I had Ellie. Because
now I wish I had her.
No, not even for plot reasons, but it's just like I would get things in a group, and I'm like, it would be so great to just blow them away with Firaga. Why did I bring Bart?
Yep.
Bart is now starting to suck, and I don't, and like it makes
Bart's
me sad because I love him, but I need Ellie.
So anyway, Ellie's like, she's been here by herself for all this time, and then she goes to the nearby computer room, unprompted, just like we're all doing the dungeon, and she's like, I gotta go. She's like goes into a daze and goes into the nearby computer room. And then she is tappalating on the computer.
So she's backtracing their IP address by making a GUI interface in Visual Basic.
Exactly. Yeah, she's hacking the mainframe. And she goes, and this is in quotes. Like, she's talking, but there's also little quotes, so she's clearly quoting something else. Or she's just using emphasis. And she goes, She goes, "O vessel for a new soul, may the soul who resideth in you find peace." And I'm like, Ellie, you're being really regular right now. Just normal character. And then there's a bit more than that, but that's basically it. She's just like really remembering what's going on here, really is into whatever's happening, and then she's like, what am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Who am I? I don't understand. I don't remember. Anyway, you go into the big room, and there's a La Blue girl hovering in a that's an anime, right?
Yeah, it's a hentai, actually.
Oh, really? Well, I haven't watched it. I just know it exists. But no, really, I'm not trying to.
It's like one of the most famous hentai.
Apparently, it's so it's famous. So it's not just weird that I know of it. Okay, yeah. So
this also is where the game shouldn't have been rated T for teen, because you see full frontal of this naked nanomachine girl.
Yeah, but it's pixels. So what are you gonna? You can't even make out. Like, I couldn't even fap to that.
Not with that attitude.
I tried.
Underage.
I tried. Oh yeah, she's underage too.
She's
Okay. Well, yeah.
As
She won't be
previously
later.
mentioned, she's 5,000 years old.
Oh, that's true. Well,
So,
it's
yeah.
hard. It's
So-
hard to count. So anyway, so they walk up and there's this girl in a tube as she's floating in some green goop or liquid, and then the bad guys show up, and someone is all like, one of the bad guys is all like, that is the existence or key dash factor dash which God will guide us by to free humanity from its yoke. Not capitalizing God here. Very, very disrespectful. I thought you were
Yeah.
And then he says, Bishop Stein says that their very faith is based on the precept that, quote, only the chosen will be saved. And I'm like, y'all are Catholics. You're not Calvinists. What is wrong with you people? You're getting your theology all mixed up.
They're Calvinists.
It's almost as if they're making it up as they go along, as the plot
Yeah.
point said 5 minutes
Weird.
ago.
I would never have
I
expected that.
wish Stone had been like, only the chosen will be saved, and I wish Billy had been like, that's wrong. Excuse me. Let me read the Bible at you and tell you why that is incorrect. And so just like,
What if
shut
this
the
boss
fuck up,
fight?
I'm a bad guy.
What if this boss fight would have just been like a Bible drill, where Stein is
would've
like, "Oh yeah,
loved
well,
that.
on page 300, blah 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 blah."
Yes, Sam, because that's how I type Bible verses, by page number.
My page number.
Well, it's obviously not like the real Bible. I couldn't say like John 3:16. I just had to. I'm just making it up.
Yeah, that was funny.
I don't operate in this universe very often. I would
Speaking
suck
of
at
random religious
Bible drills.
references, the bad guys steal the girl, and they run off, and then they're like, Talone, Seraphita, buy me as much time as possible. And then these stupid fucking characters show up.
I love them.
I
But
hate them.
I
They're
hate them.
stupid. One of them looks like a goddamn secret of mana. The other one actually has a pretty cool haircut and cool face tattoos. She looks like she belongs.
I thought they
in
were just
Dangerous
giant freckles.
Maybe they are. Or they're like weird marks from scientific experiments. Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
So they act like little kids, basically. Like, they act like stupid little idiots. And at one point, someone is like, I think Saitan is like, beware, they're actually really dangerous. And Billy's like, oh, so they're acting stupid as, like, a farce? And Saitan's like, I'm not sure. And then they make a reference to Star Trek.
They do,
it's-
but
Yeah.
Stupid.
but
They
to,
spelled it wrong.
yeah, to
Positronic sarcophagulator.
yeah.
What do
So
they say?
what one of them is like, you better watch out because my sister here has a gin and tonic neutron brain, and she's like, no, it's a positronic neutron brain, but don't let the writers of Star Trek hear that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is so weird. I wonder if it was them like, We've been doing bad at our localization, and it's just been a weird, clunky translation for about half this game. What if we just throw in a reference, or if Takahashi made a Star Trek reference?
That's the thing. That's the kind of thing that a localization company has, that they often do that kind of dumb shit. Like, they, like, not all localization companies do, but certain ones will be like, we're going to throw in a bunch of pop culture references, but the rest of the game doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So that is like, if it was this actually in the fucking Japanese, you know? Who the hell knows? It's stupid and it sucks. And I hate them.
Yeah.
Anyway, you fight them.
They also spell it TRECH instead of TREK.
Which I'm sure is just supposed to be like a joke, because like, oh, this is a fantasy world. They have a show
Yeah.
called Star Trek spelled differently, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did y'all have trouble with this fight?
Nah, not really.
No.
Yeah,
It was annoying. Like, so the first attacks did kill one of my characters. I think it killed Bart.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to resurrect him, and then I had to spend some time healing up. But after that, it was pretty easy. I just had to
Nice,
kill
good.
Seraphita,
Yeah.
and then
Wasn't nearly as hard as the hard one in a second.
Yeah, so in just a second, you're retreating back through the place because you're chasing the bad guy. You're chasing Stein, who has, did they say the green girl's name?
They did not, but
No.
I already knew it because
Yeah,
I was
I'll
looking
just-
up a Deathblow guide.
Yeah,
But
I'll just fucking tell you. It's Emeralda, so I'll just call her Emeralda.
It's what?
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda.
No, it's Emeralda, but I call her
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda because
Oh, okay.
that's a real person's name. Instead of Emeralda, which is the name of something from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
Chaos,
it's weird to me that like Esmeralda and Emerald are both real names, both based off the word emerald. This one they were like, I don't know which one I like better. So what if we were both?
yeah. So anyway, you're running out, and you go back to that dramatic bridge from earlier. And the bad guy's there, and you're there, and you're looking at each other, and you're just, having a good old time. And then, who should show up? But it's our boy, Knuckles the Echidna. We used to call him Blanca, but now there's another Blanca, so he's not Blanca anymore. From off-screen, someone's like, "Give it back." Oh, sorry. Very important scene here. Sorry, let's back up for a second. So Faye, who's definitely unrelated to the thing I just said, has a weird dream back in the Yggdrasil. He's in the rooms we just saw, like the hallways we were just in and the lab underground. But now he's wearing a scientist outfit, and some soldiers are taking away that girl we just saw. And he's like, "Don't take her away! Don't take her away! I'm a scientist, apparently." And then there's a freeze frame, and it goes into that thing where he's like floating in space looking at a movie, and that pendant appears. And then Bad Faby appears and is like, "Sup?" He doesn't say "sup," but he says something like, he's like, "I'm back, bitch." And then you're out of the dream now, and the Faye's nurse, returns to the hospital bed, and Faye is gone, and Faye must have become a juggalo because she goes, "Where did Faye go?"
It's the worst joke. You told me you were going to say this joke in the podcast. I saw it in the notes, and I still hate you for putting this joke there.
Here's one of my notes that would make the game better. Whenever Faye isn't around, someone should be saying, "Where's Faye?"
Where's Faye? Yeah. And then when Id's around, they're like, "Where's Faye? It's here, though. Interesting." It's going to take us 30 hours to figure this out. They still haven't figured it out. Actually. So
to jump ahead a little bit, when you get back to the Yggdrasil after this next fight, obviously with Faye's gear is like all smoking and shit, and nobody seems to even like talk about it.
Well, no, someone says, they're like, "Faye, what were you doing driving a gear?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't really remember anything." And they're like,
"I was just watching Cops."
Yeah, so it's like, "Give it back," and then Id shows up in his red gear, and you have to fight him, which is funny because the bad guys are trying to steal Emeralda, and Faye, who apparently was sad because back in the day, in a previous life, the bad guys took Emeralda, fights you, who are trying to stop the bad guys from getting Emeralda. So I don't know. Maybe Id's just confused and doesn't know who the bad guys are in this situation because he's confused.
There's a lot of different bad guys. I don't blame him.
He's Knuckles the Echidna. He gets very confused by bad guys.
So this is the scene in why they require Saitan, and Saitan says something. I remember it making slight sense why it was showing up, and not showing up. Showing up didn't make any sense, but why he decided to fight you and not Stein. But I don't remember what it is now. So just trust me, it's probably okay. But
there's some bullshit reasons.
It could be bullshit too.
So anyway, you fight Id. He's hard.
Yeah,
and also he clearly uses all of Faye's death blows. And everyone's like, interesting that this is happening. We're not going to comment on it. Took me 2 tries.
He kept attacking the same damn people.
Yeah,
he's hard. You have to make a lot of use of defending. He may have a pattern to who he attacks. He also may not have a pattern. But if you do a lot of defending, then he attacks you and doesn't do that much damage, and then the other person hits. And I don't know. Maybe it just requires a lot of luck.
Yeah. So he has crazy high speed, where even though you have 3 people, he goes every other turn. Yeah, and also his death blows do somewhere between twice your HP and half your HP. So you always have to, like, if you're hit at all, you need to be healing. And so poor Billy, he didn't get to do anything. He just healed the entire every time it was his turn for the whole fight. And then Saitan would just like get off pop shots to save up for a big old combo. And I did that.
Luckily, Billy has a fucking fantastic heal everyone basically all their HP move that you can just use all the time. And that's very nice. So you fight him. And he's still too strong, though. What do we do? The bad guy's already run away. Then Wise Man appears out of goddamn nowhere. And he also has a gear, and he grabs Id in his giant gear hand and holds him while you run skis. As you run, you're like, man, Wise Man and Faye sure are, and Id sure are going at it. And it's like, yeah, it's his dad. It's like, you mean my father?
And that's how you know.
So yeah, you escape from the dungeon. I love this scene, honestly. I think it's great. Id's theme is one of the best tracks Mitsuda has ever written. Yeah. I think it's an incredible piece of music, and it plays while you fight the boss. And it's like still mysterious who it is. We don't know yet. We'll find out later. Krellian escapes in the butt plug, and it turns out that Esmeralda is made of nanomachines, and she's super advanced. And not only is she good at fights, but she's like the future of mankind, and they basically may or may not need her for like the Human Instrumentality Project or something like that. Mm-hmm. So they're like, that's bad. That's bad. There really is a thing where they're like, they use nanomachines to heal people's sickness. And Rico's like, that's good. And then they're like, but only Solarians get to use it. That's bad.
But it comes with a free Frogurt. I'm going to keep using that joke.
It's a good joke.
It's also the right time of year for it because it's from a Treehouse of Horror.
Oh, looky there. Nice.
Yeah. Good timing.
So then Stein shows up in a Metal Gear. His body is Red Skull now. Just cause. Yeah. He's like, this is how I am. Then we look at this graph, and Graph says, do you want the real power? And Stein's like, I already have the real power. Krellian gave me this Red Skull body. And Graph's like, that power is fake news. Do you want real ultimate power?
Also, the ultimate power.
Also, Stein turns into Red Skull off screen. Like, literally, like 4 seconds, you show up and he's just like, oh, I'm Red Skull now. And you're like,
he was literally a person earlier, and now he's Red Skull. And he's like, sup, Krellian gave me this body. It's really strong. And I'm like, couldn't Krellian have made this body not
have a face?
But ugly? Make it have a face. Whatever. Anyway, you fight him. It's no big deal. And then the dumbest scene in the history of JRPGs happens. Actually, sorry, this happens before you fight him, right?
So you fight him one time and you're like, oh no, none of our attacks do anything.
Yeah.
But you just have to do 2 of them, and you don't even survive any of his attacks. You just absorb them.
I just defended the whole time because...
Yeah, so you fight him and your attacks aren't doing anything. So they're like, what are we gonna do? And they find out that he has some sort of fucking AT field barrier around him that is the real ultimate power that makes it where you can't hurt him. If only there was some way to destroy this AT field. And then Saitan's like, hey guys, I know what we can do. Actually, no, well, Jesse shows up. And Jesse's like, guys, there's only one possible solution to this situation. There's no other solutions that will work. This is the only thing we can do. Eli, what is it?
It is to get into a special gear that, like, you become the bullet. And so, like, you shoot yourself at this giant gear, and of course you die horribly in the process because you've just shot yourself. You're basically becoming a kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, and it's not even like just a gun. Like, it's literally a transformer. Like, it's a regular gear that transforms into a giant gear-sized gun.
I feel like that's the future for Transformers. Like,
and it just so happens that when it transforms, the seat where the pilot sits is the bullet of the fucking gun. And you get to shoot the bullet one time, and you shoot it at the bad guy, and that's the thing that someone decided to make. That someone if
you miss, the person inside is fucked, and you didn't accomplish your goal. So, like, this is just an all-around terrible idea.
It's just like, who would make this? And we'll find out in a second who would make this. Also, I feel like the general from Dr. Strangelove would really enjoy this weapon.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The funny thing 100%. Is, though, Jesse is saying, Billy, the only way to do it is you have to shoot him with this big gun. And Billy's just like, okay, I'll shoot him with the big gun.
And Saitan's trying to yell at him.
Well, Saitan says, like, off screen and then at Billy, like, no, Billy, your dad is literally the bullet of that gun. Don't fire it. But Billy can't hear him for no particular reason. It's not like his comms are out. I don't know why. So Billy doesn't know that he is literally killing his dad. And his dad gives him a big pep talk, right? His dad is like...
I actually really, really enjoyed this pep talk.
It's actually very good, yeah. He talks about... He basically says that the real religion was inside you all along. Sam, you should explain it in more detail since you liked it so much.
Yeah, so basically, ever since Ethos, Billy's just kind of been like in a daze. Just been like, what do I even do?
What am I fighting for?
What am I fighting for? Because like my whole religion is fake. And so Jesse is like, religion and God isn't something other people can give you. So like if you were doing good and it means something to you, that's what's actually important, not what other people are doing. And then he ruins it by finishing his super awesome, like you can use it in modern day. Like I actually sent it to my friend Aaron from Blizzard because he's going through what he's sometimes calls as like unchristianity, but not atheism. Like he still believes in Christianity, but he doesn't like Christians type thing.
Is that the Aaron that I am also friends with?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's being a Christian and also a reasonable person.
Yeah.
He's a reasonable Christian. But I like the whole thing. Like I sent him like the first half of the monologue, and I was like, "Hey, I think that you would like this." And then he ends this fucking monologue with, "Remember, guns don't kill people. People kill people."
Like... but he's got it like in weird quotes again. He's got guns in the quotes and people in the quotes.
Yeah,
like guns, quote unquote, don't kill people. People, quote unquote, kill people. And I'm like, hey, are you emphasizing it or are you quoting it? And also, like, why did the NRA infiltrate this game?
No. That's why they put the quotes. That way the NRA can say they're not lying because they put it in quotes. So when he says guns, he actually means people, and when he says people, he actually means guns.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like people asterisk kill people. Translator's note: people means guns. All according to guns.
All according to Keikaku.
So it's just like outrageously stupid. And then Billy is all fired up because his dad fired him up with his pep talk about how the real Catholicism was in him all along, which is basically how I feel. And just like Billy, I then shoot my dad out of a giant gun, and it destroys the barrier. And it's like, cool, now we can have the boss battle. And then you have it, and it's fine. And then afterward, Billy's like, awesome, we did it. And then Saitan's like, well, yeah, where's Dad? And then Saitan's like, Billy, you utter fool. You fucking moron. Your dad was the bullet in that giant gun. And Billy's like, oh no. But then Jesse walks on screen from off screen and is like,
before that, while Billy's still like, oh no, my dad is dying, Saitan's like, yeah, I don't know why I even built that gear.
I don't know why I ever built that gun. And I'm like, I don't either. Why would you build that gun?
It's the weirdest invention ever. Like it's that trick you can only do once, you know? And
the thing is, I'm thinking to myself, this is irredeemably stupid. Like, it's stupid in a funny way, but also it's just bad.
Yeah.
Then Jesse walks on
they
screen,
also like they're having a little like memorial ceremony for him too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's right.
He really shoots his gun into the water like this is how he'd want to go.
Yeah.
He died doing what he loved.
He died doing what he loved.
Oh, and also
a giant bullet shot out of a giant gun.
And also, Saitan refers to the bullet as a warhead the whole time. So he was strapped to a nuke in a giant gun fired at a robot. He died.
Yep. And the robot
he literally
far away.
Yeah.
And like, why is the human? The pilot have gone anywhere else? Is the bomb human powered? Does it not work if there's not a human in there?
I don't know.
I guess it's
also, I feel like if that was really the case, you would probably just keep a bunch of humans around that are not important and make
Right?
keep like, hey, you red shirt, get in the fucking gun.
You're a gunman.
Yeah. Anyway, but then it immediately goes from being like irredeemably stupid, like it's funny but not even in a good way. It's like actually just bad, into being extremely good actually because Jesse didn't even really die.
Yeah.
He shows up from off screen.
It comes even
like,
better. This is now Billy's gear special move. Is he just fires his dad into random mobs for 500 fuel?
Realize that. What does Jesse say when he comes back on screen?
Oh, he says, "Ouchie, wowie,
wow, wow.
Ouchie, wow, wow, yeah.
Ouchie, wow, wow." It's like, damn, that hurt. I'm fine though. I pulled a Wolverine in the film The Wolverine, where he goes into like a little hole and lives through
a nuclear blast.
Hiroshima. Yeah, that movie is great.
But it's okay because he has scars on his back from the nuke.
Yeah, from that time when a nuclear bomb went off nearby. Yeah, so the fact that he doesn't actually die, I think reveals that the entire scene is meant to be stupid.
It was intentionally stupid. Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. This game is weird, y'all.
It's weird it's weird to me that he even survived. Like, did he jump out at the last minute?
No, I think he's just tough. He's just a tough guy, you know?
He just flexed his way through the nuclear blast. It's a big deal.
You ever survive being shot out of a gun as a giant human-powered nuke just to flex on Saitan? Anyway, yeah, so you beat him, and then there's a lot of plot, actually, that I forgot to write down, but I remember it anyway.
There's not a whole lot of plot, actually.
Well, yeah, but there's a bit of motivation. You talk with Jesse, and you learn the entire point of this entire third of the game's bullshit, which is contriving you to get up with Billy and Jesse. Jesse's basically like, yeah, so I've been doing research down here this whole time, trying to take down Solaris, blah, blah, blah. Turns out there was this scientist in Solaris who was doing a lot of really important work, but then he defected, and they were going to steal all his research. So he put all his research into a robot, into a gear, and he hid it there. And then his daughter Maria Balthazar, fled Solaris. And it was that thing where they were keeping Maria captive to force her dad to work on shit, kind of like in Rogue One. And so basically the secret Death Star plans are inside of this giant this gear that this girl named Maria flies, and she is currently in Shevat. So Shevat's been mentioned a zillion times up to this point, and we finally have a plot reason to go to Shevat. That's the motivation, basically, right?
I don't remember most of that, but I was late when I played it, so...
Yeah.
Jesse's just dropping some knowledge, and we need to go to Shevat now, because...
I believe that you're right.
Yeah.
You got the bad floating continent and the good floating continent, and we got to go to the good one to help. And then we go to everyone's favorite part of this game, Babel Tower.
Oh, my favorite way is how we get to Babel Tower is so Jesse's like, so we need to go to Shevat, and Saitan's like, well, there's probably like a communications thing on the top of Babel Tower because that's where Shevat used to be, so we should go and climb it. Everyone's like, oh, that's going to be like really hard, but it's okay, we can do it. Then it fades to black, and then a disembodied voice of Faye goes, well, no time like the present, let's go to Babel Tower, and you pick a party, and you go to Babel Tower.
Faye is so fucking Goku, it's hilarious. I love Faye with all of my heart. So I will say, as far as game motivation goes, it's a little weak. Like, the point of this dungeon, and I know y'all are going to agree with this, but I actually extremely love this dungeon. Also, I guess y'all are just bad at platforming because it didn't take me that long.
I grew up with platformers, but I don't 3D platform for one.
That's what I mean.
And I don't 3D platform with only 8 directions.
Bad platformers.
Yeah, there's only 8 directions. The camera is not great. I'm just going to list out my grievances real quick and get them over with. The camera's bad. There's only 8 directions. The inputs are laggy. So like there were multiple times where I would hit the button and no jump would occur and I would just fall right off. There were other times where I would jump in what looked like the right spot, and it would not land me directly on the platform, so I would fall off. There were other times where it was just really hard to tell because the area is dark, the gears are small, the camera is, again, really weird. Like, you're zoomed out really far. So it was very hard to tell. And then, once I finally managed to get up onto that damn crane, the crane falls over, and I don't have enough time to really, get my bearings or time my jump, and so I just have to pray with all my might that I'm going to make it across. So I'm glad you, Mr. I've played Xenogears before, did not have any problems.
Last time I played it, I was 14. I don't think that's anything to do with it. However, I have played really shitty indie 3D platformers, and I don't mean to shit on any. I mean like freeware. Like some guy put a thing on Itch.io. I love that shit, and a lot of them are kind of bad. So I'm good at this shit.
Watch me play Hollow Knight. I'm great at 2D platformers.
So my main grief with it is there was obviously an editor in place in the scene, and the editor got rid of the tiniest grievance, but didn't get rid of the biggest grievance. So for this whole, half of the dungeon, it's all one giant room, which should be cool, but it's not. If you fall at any point, first off, gears can fly into outer space. We saw this 2 episodes ago. They also can swim in water. We saw this 1 episode ago.
Yep.
But if you fall all the way down to the water, and then can't get out of the water, so it washes you back to the beginning of the dungeon, and you start the entire room over again. And then so that's bad enough. But then the jumps, each jump is in one of the cardinal 8 directions, but the platforms are not. And specifically, there's one where you have to go towards this door, but there's a cut in the floor, in front of the door. And if you walk straight to the door, you'll get caught on the geometry and fall down to your death. And then that door, you also have to come towards the camera a little bit to get in anyways. And then after you have this hangy fucking chain, which doesn't make sense, that 3 gears can hang off this old ass rusty chain in this abandoned fucking ruin. But then if you touch the chain, it brings up a menu to explain what to do every time, which is annoying. And so then you swing across, and it takes way too long, and then you barely make it onto the crane. And then the first time you get on the crane, it teaches you how to do the crane by making you fail it, which means you have to do, on a blind playthrough, you will have to do the entire Babel dungeon thing, the first part, twice.
Again.
At least twice, yeah.
Yeah, the design of this thing is to make you really fucking mad. The only reason I know there was an editor here is there's no random battles.
There were a few. There were a few up to a point.
No, it's those aren't random. They always happen in the same spot.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
So you get to those, and so it feels like random battles when you get through it your first time, but it doesn't punish you for having to do it twice. But they should have just not made it where you had to do it twice. The crane would have still been just as hard and just as likely for you to fall off if the crane didn't go all the way perpendicular down and knock you into the water. It could have just been moving, and it would have been shitty, but it would have been I'm in control shitty. And I threw my controller. I asked if we could stop early. I really was not enjoying this first part of it. The rest of it actually is kind of cool. I just despise the big platforming chunk at the beginning.
Yeah.
If they would have had because you fall into the water and get carried by the current, if there would have been ladders you knock down to give you checkpoints or something, it wouldn't have been as bad.
That would have been so helpful.
But no, it's mean, and it's mean on purpose because of the crane thing. And that this frustration is what they wanted you to feel, and it makes me upset.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. And
I managed to get through that without yelling, so I feel proud of myself.
I was glad Ken was not home because I was screaming at a couple points. I will say, the rest of the dungeon not nearly as bad. However, I was on edge fuck. I was shaking and terrified of every little jump that came up after that. I was anything I do is going to send me back down into the water, and I'm going to have to do it all over again, and I'm going to hate it. And there was a point later on after that where the guide was like, at this point, you have to get out of your gear. And so I was like, all right, I'll get out of my gear. And then a fight immediately started, and I forgot that there was a call gear option in the menu. And so, yeah, I just got annihilated. Thankfully, I had saved.
Yeah.
So it was like, I saved right after that point, but I was like, oh my God, like, nothing is intuitive in this game.
It's really not.
Yeah.
Especially because call gear is like on the hidden second set of options where you almost never go.
Also,
so if you've never ran from a battle, and you wouldn't know to check there to find where you run, and so there's a chance that people just get annihilated in this game.
At that point, I was like, I guess I'll just die.
Guess I'll die.
Yeah.
So my defense of this part of the game, there's this, what y'all are saying is correct, but my defense is this. I don't know. You said it sucks that you have to do it at least 2 times, even if you're doing well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know how long it takes to climb up there the second time? About literally 1 minute.
No,
it really is.
Good for you.
I'm glad you. If you make all of the jumps, but doing that 1 minute 40 times because you don't make the jump, that then is bad.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
I just don't understand how it took that many tries. I'm not actually that great at platformers. I was kind of joking earlier. I just I don't know. The crane jump, I got it maybe 3rd try, and it
took me half a dozen tries on the crane alone to get across.
It is a few more tries than necessary because there are actually
so what I wonder it might be, which might be exacerbating the platforming. So I wonder if the Vita has game mode built in, like TV refresh wise.
No, I'm pretty sure it's actually worse.
And so, like, Eli's TV, and I'm playing on a RetroPie, which adds in all of that on top of it. I wonder if...
Oh, okay, you playing on RetroPie is going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, so I wonder, because, like, Eli has mentioned input lag a lot, and it's it sounds like it's worse for him than it is for me, so maybe his TV...
It feels like I press the jump button, and half a second later, my character jumps.
Yeah, that just doesn't... Okay...
So I think there is some sort of
problems, but also I think y'all are fucking emulating, and that's causing problems. I think that's making it worse. I think that's part of it. Yeah,
because
I'm playing on Vita, which I know is a little worse than the real game. But I'd imagine emulation is even worse.
Yeah, because I play a lot of platformers. When in the Discord, somebody asked what our favorite game genre besides RPGs are, and it's collectathons. Like, I love jumping. I can do jumping. I've done a lot of games with really bad controls, and this particular part of it was just especially bad. And a lot of
Psychonauts.
I've played most of Psychonauts.
I have Psychonauts, but I haven't played it yet.
But it's clearly a platform made by someone who never made a platform before.
I never fell on the basic, the jumps that are in your path. I always fell on I would jump, I would line up on the Z-axis, I would turn my camera, and I would jump straight towards the chain, and I would go straight through it and fall down. Or I would just be walking, and they decided that this platform looked cooler at northeast instead of at north, and so a straight holding up will walk you right off the edge, and you'll do it over again. Yeah. It was all little things. It wasn't the main jump. The only main jump that was shitty was the crane one, but all the rest of them weren't hard jumps. It just was hard to execute because the level design didn't believe it was stuck to 8 directions.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know. I mean,
I'm glad that you didn't have a problem with it because it was.
Understand.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm glad you didn't have a problem with it. I'm very happy for you.
We did. Anywho, nothing else really happens for the rest of this dungeon.
But the thing is, that is not my entire defense of the dungeon, because if that was just the dungeon not sucking, doesn't make it good, right?
Yeah.
So now I do want to talk quick about why this dungeon fucking owns, okay? And how if they fix this, if they remade it and fix this problem, these that y'all are having, that I will admit are definitely problems because most people seem to have it, then the dungeon would be fucking incredible. How long did it take you to realize what the dungeon actually was?
It's a sky elevator, but also everything seems to be sideways, so it might have just been a subway.
So infinite amount of time. No, did you not, Eli? Do you realize what this dungeon is?
I'm not sure
It's
exactly.
the spaceship from the opening cutscene, y'all.
Oh, that's why I was standing on a bunch of fucking computer screens.
That's the fucking slow burn of the entire dungeon, which is what makes it fucking brilliant.
Wow. Yeah, I did
cool.
not
That's
put
why
that
all
together.
the doors are sideways, and it's weird.
Okay.
That's
why you
cool.
have to jump up in the air to go inside of a door, because it's sideways, because the floor is to your right.
That makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, the whole spaceship is facing... That's why that elevator you ride on, that's not an elevator. That's
a train car.
It's a tram. Wow.
That's cool.
Okay. No, now I like the dungeon more.
Okay,
but at the same time, I'm still annoyed.
Of course it's still annoying, but if you're missing, like, the mood is so thick, and the music is beautiful. And
the music, I love the music there.
The music is the music from the opening cutscene. By the way.
I recognized it was the opening cutscene music.
Yeah, and
I forget about opening cutscenes so
I mean, I get that, but like, so you go, yeah. So first of all, the first frustrating part you don't get because it's just like random, like metal, right?
Yeah.
But then you turn into a human. You get out of your gear and you go in this door. And
you're just a transformer. You turn from a giant robot into a real person.
Yeah, and you go in this room, and literally everything's facing like to the left. And there's these computer screens to the left, and there's literally these chairs that are on the fucking wall. And you're walking on a platform, like a raised, like a ledge, but it's but you're like, wait, this isn't actually a ledge. This is a chest-high wall, like a handrail. Okay. Like I'm walking on an accessibility ramp.
Yeah,
right now.
No, I totally see it now.
Yeah. And so then like you click on the fucking computer, you're like standing on the computer screen, reaching down and clicking on a button on the computer and jumping on these sideways chairs. And then but the cool thing is that the characters don't understand this because they are small, puny, simple-minded land-dwelling humans who don't understand what a giant spaceship is, right?
Yeah.
But we, the player, do know. And also, that's one reason why the camera's so zoomed out. This is the most Takahashi thing in the entire game. This is the seed that he would feel like he can build his career on. Like the idea of something being big and old, you know, and mysterious as hell, and makes the characters feel small in comparison, and literally small because the camera's very zoomed out. But you're in a giant robot, but the giant robot is small, right? Yeah. Because of how big this thing is. And then but they don't even understand. They don't comprehend it, right? They're just like, oh, I guess we'll get on this elevator, and here comes a clearly like the kind of transport tram you would use to get around like an airport, right? Comes, and they're just standing like on top of it, which is the front of it, right? Oh no, actually they go inside that one. They go inside of it, and they're just standing on these chairs that are not facing the correct direction, and they're like,
the characters do get it by the end at least, because the final room of the dungeon, it's like, oh, there seems to be a door up there. We'll have to climb the handrails on foot to get through it. And so at that point, they realize these walls are actually handrails.
That's
so
true. That's true.
They do catch on at the end and know that they're at least sideways, if not that it's a spaceship.
And it is a little weird that none of the characters are like, hey, why are things sideways? Why is the chair on the wall? But on the other hand, the fact that no one's fucking talking, I think makes it a lot better, because if they did, it would ruin the mood.
Yeah.
So it's just big, and it's mysterious, and it's long, and after the first section, it's pretty good. You go through these tunnels, which are sort of air vent thingies, but they're actually obviously just hallways. But normal hallways go forward, backwards, left, and right. But if your whole spaceship is tilted, that means your hallway has giant holes in them where you fall down a long way. And then you go on the outside of it, and the 3D graphics are beautiful. You're outside, it's like white, rusted metal, white tower. And you have a boss battle, fucking Krellian and Miang
Ramses
and
and Miang.
Ramses show up to stop you, and they're really bad at it.
Yeah,
it's not
so like
hard.
Miang's shtick, where she's out of your reach and she's just healing Ramses, which has been her thing in all of the fights so far, has been really shitty on foot. But in your gear, you have boost, so she went one time before the battle was over.
Yeah,
it's so fucking stupid. Luckily they're not hard at all. I think, I don't know. Maybe they're just like, you know what, this dungeon's a pain in the ass. Let's make this boss easy.
I was very grateful for that.
Not a pain in the ass, but whatever.
Especially because that boss comes right before the save point and not right after. So
maybe Takahashi is super, super, super good at bad platforming. So for him, it was easy, and they didn't realize that it sucked ass until playtesting closer to the end of the game. So all they had time to do was make the boss easier and take out the random battles, and they didn't have time to actually change the design of the level. They're like, oops, out of time. And the Takahashi's like, that was my plan all along, was for us to run out of time so that they could let me put this shitty part in the game. Haha. I got you, fam. So there's more platforming, and it's outside this time, and it's a lot easier, and it's cool, and the graphics are nice.
Yeah,
and
this part,
you don't really have a lot of camera control either.
Yeah, and this part of outside was designed for only having 8 directions. Like, they went artsy inside, they went functional on the outside, and that's good.
It's pretty much like, it's like in Mario 3D World.
It's more of like a 4 direction than an 8 direction.
But you're always just moving like left or right across, like zigzagging up the wall, basically.
Yeah.
It's like 4 directional. Again, it's like some Mario 3D World levels. It's good. It's good. Is there any more plot stuff? No, you go on some other trams. You go on other transportation methods.
The reason that I didn't catch on that this was a spaceship, besides the fact that was 60 hours ago, but I think it was 45 hours ago for me, but
my playthrough's up to 35, almost 36.
Mine's longer, not because I did extra stuff, but because oftentimes I'll be playing and Scarlett will come up and be like, play, and I'm like, sure. And so I give her, and she twiddles the sticks that don't do anything, and then she gives it back. But like that adds up to apparently 10 hours.
10 hours, yeah.
But
it's gonna be great once she actually gets the dexterity to play video games.
I know. I'm so excited. I've already been like, okay, do I make her learn platforming in Green Dog the Beach Surfer Dude so that she can know how good it is when she gets to Mario and Sonic?
Yeah.
Or should I just give her the good stuff? Like, do I want her to live in my shoes, or do I want to give my baby the best things?
Yeah, quick aside on that. I got a Super Nintendo for Christmas when I was like 7 years old, and I don't even think I ever asked for it. Like, it just happened. It was magical. It was like Santa Claus was truly real at that time in my life. And I remember, like, I got Super Mario World and Mario Paint with it, and I always really loved when my dad would want to play with me, but he so rarely did, because he's always just seen video games as a complete waste of time, which, I mean, he's not wrong. But, like, he used to tell me, like, the only thing that's more of a waste of time than playing video games is watching people play video games, and now I'm like, I'm gonna make people watch me play video games.
You're like, not only am I going to be a Let's Player, I'm also going to have a podcast where people get to listen to me talk about video games. They don't even get to watch me play it.
First you watch, then you listen. My dad wanted to play a game one time. He really wanted to play Halo because he really likes the Halo books and thinks it's a great story, and he's right. But if you're a person who hasn't played a game since like Mario 1,
don't start on Halo.
Don't start on a first-person shooter. The whole 3D twin stick thing's really hard to get the hang of. We were playing on easy, which Halo 1 easy is
easy like Sunday morning.
So the problem is my dad wouldn't die because you can't almost fucking die in easy, but he would not be able to shoot the bad guys either. So he'd just kind of run around and spin around in circles, and I'd shoot the bad guys and be like, all right, Dad, next room. We didn't get too far. We got maybe partway through Truth and Reconciliation before my dad was like, yeah, it's not working.
But yeah, I can't wait until my nephew is born and grows up a little bit and can come down for the summer or whatever, and I'll play all the fun video games I love with him, and like that I'm super excited about.
I'm stoked on it. But so besides the whole Scarlet of it all and it being 60 hours ago, so this part of the game is literally like 3 chapters before and during the climax of Xenoblade 2, without going into like reasons why, but like literally the stuff that happens at Ethos and then climbing the Tower of Babel and all of this stuff is literally like the same thing you do there. But in Xenoblade 2, you're climbing Yggdrasil, the world tree. Also, the Yggdrasil is the name of your boat here, so he really just likes that part of Norse mythology like a lot.
Yeah.
But so like you're climbing that, and you're going up to a city in the sky on it. Like everything is like beat for beat that. And so while I thought it was weird that everything was sideways and like an interesting choice, I kept thinking of like, so was it like was like the gravity off and you're supposed to be climbing on the walls, but it's not? Or is it like, what's going on here? It didn't even click that it would be a spaceship. Cause like in my defense, spaceships don't usually have trains on them. So like I was definitely thinking more of like,
ones would.
I mean, yeah, but I was definitely thinking more along the lines of subway and not a spaceship.
Yeah.
But
no, that makes sense. But
also it's crazy how like the last 4 or 5 chapters or whatever are literally the last 2 or 3 chapters of Xenoblade.
That's so interesting.
And it was really hard. It was really hard to not get any spoilers in that. So
good job.
Good job. Yeah, I'm very proud of you.
Very spoiler free. Yeah, nice. Spoiler alert. There's a bad church in a game.
Wow, who'da thunk?
Yeah, so you go up more and more of the tower, and you get to the very top. Another thing I like about this tower, just real quick, so this out there as well, because we only got we got to wrap this up. I like how, again, this is obviously such an important thing for the game's lore. Like, it's the spaceship from the beginning. The music is playing. The spaceship was mentioned ages ago. It still is not explained why it's important or what the hell it means, but the fact that it's even made an appearance in the game, as opposed to just being in the opening cutscene, is such a huge shocker. And what I like is that the characters are not there to learn about that. They're not here to explore the lore of this spaceship. They're not going to hack into the fucking mainframe and get its data. They're not here to figure out what it is or where it came from or what the plot of the game is. They're just here to get up it for their own, like, simplistic Earth reasons that have nothing to do with the actual thing that we're clearly very interested in. And I think that that's really cool. They're so far beyond. They're so far away from comprehending the importance of what we, the player, with our magic powers of having seen the opening cutscene, and also knowing what a spaceship is, that we're like, no, come on, man. So there's this great dramatic irony to it. Anyway, you get to the top and you fight a mystery girl. She's really cute, and the robot is really big.
The robot's name is Sebzane, which is or Sebzane, which is 710. And then in a second, the brain ball is like, we might even have to activate Octazane, which is 810.
Cool, it's better. It's one better.
It's one more than Sebzane.
What's one in German?
Ein.
It's ein better.
It's
No, it said the Bart the. At any rate, so she's really cute. The robot is big. You fight Sebzane. They protect Shevat from intruders. It's not a hard fight. And because I think she might actually have like regular actual party member gear stats, so it's not a hard fight because it doesn't have a zillion HP because she's a boss now. And then out of nowhere, someone named Queen Zephyr is like, okay, they've proven their worth, they've shown that they're strong. Go ahead and let them in. So then she takes you to the Sky City of Shevat. She's like, yeah, my name's Maria, and they're like, oh, Maria, you're the one we were looking for. Then we go to the brain ball. The brain ball's like, yeah, man, Ramses and Miang are fucking useless, and they're right, they are. Turns out there's yet another anime relic. This anime relic is in Shevat, and because if you recall, they were looking for anime relics, right, back in Abe. And they're like, we can't allow them to align before, quote, preparations are complete. So they're like, they're mad because they say them, and they say them, that I think it's clear here that they're referring to all of your party members as being special, basically. So they're like,
I think it was maybe an NPC, maybe something, but it basically was talking about how all of our party members are a special thing. We might have mentioned it like last week or something, but definitely we all are Dragoons, and even though we're just friends and we've been hanging out, we're all going to get our Dragoon stones. Spoilers for literally the plot of all of Legend of Dragoon.
Right, because we all grew up in the same orphanage, right, and are secretly all chosen ones, not just Fae.
Yeah, and we all went to the same orphanage when we were little.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we can't allow the anime relics to align, so they're before preparations are complete. And they're basically like, we can't let the good guys get the Dragon Ball. And they're like, well, let's destroy Shavat. And one of them's like, well, Shavat has an anime relic. We need those. And they're like, yeah, there's like plenty. Like there's more. We can just blow this one up and it's fine. That's better than letting the good guys like get it. We're gonna use a new weapon called I Forget. I now realize it's the Octzane. To destroy the space-time gate that protects Shavat. So basically, they're like, oh, the good guys are at Shavat. Guess what's about to happen? A bunch of cutscenes where we attack Shavat, right?
Yep.
Then you learn that it's Maria Balthazar. She's like, hey, it's your cousin, Maria Balthazar. You know that new lore you were looking for? Yeah, and she's like, cool.
And
she
Bart was like, oh, Balthazar, you mean Old Man Ball? And she's like, that's my last name, but yeah.
yeah.
I'd totally forgotten about that guy.
It turns out that she's actually maybe the granddaughter of that random old guy in the fucking random cave, which is great. And that's certainly not going to be important later. It kind of is. It's also kind of just bullshit. I don't remember exactly. I told you that guy was important, though. I told you he showed up later. Anyway, this game does another classic Xenogears thing, where she literally is like, I'm going to take you to Queen Zephyr, but not right now. How about you just walk around for the town and I'll meet up with you? So it's literally like, you don't even have a goal. She's just like, hey, go explore the town. That is what you have to do now. And I guess you gotta talk to a specific person to advance the plot, but I'm not gonna tell you who it is. No, you cannot just go to the palace on your own. She could have just said, I'll meet you at the palace, and then you would know, okay, go there last, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we did not explore the town because that is for next week. But what we did do, or what I did y'all get the optional scene?
I did. I went and talked to Maria.
The optional scene is really, really sweet. You head to a nearby room and you talk to Maria, and there's a giant fucking robot there. And that is Saibzen. And she talks about how her dad and her used to live in Solaris, and he was being forced to work on the robot. Shit, we already knew. And then how he helped her escape, but he's captive. And then she says that her father's voice and his smiles are leaving her. They're becoming obscure. She believed that this would never happen. She swore that she would never forget her father, but as happens, memories fade as time passes. And in case we didn't already figure this out, because we're mature adults who can understand symbolism, she tells us that the only connection between her and her father is the robot. And like, thanks for explaining that, Maria. I hadn't figured that out already. So also, like, I just met you. Like, you explained it before I even had any important cutscenes with you.
Yeah.
But okay, now I know that this robot is the symbolic representation of your father. Cool. So then you're like, also she's like, why am I sharing all this with you? And I'm like, I don't know. Imagine it's like, hi stranger. Did you know that I'm sad that I'm forgetting my father's smile and that my only connection with him is this robot? Cool.
Yeah, good story. Good talk.
Cool story, bro. Although I get it. Sometimes I'm like, hi stranger I just met. Have I told you about how my partner left me? I'm joking, but that is how I feel with like HE. Like, I'm going to the fucking grocery store. I'm like, hi, how's it going? Can you give me a hug? Yeah. So Maria is a very open person. Yeah. So that's it. We go up to Shavat. We get to hear some fucking fantastic music for about 10 seconds because then we go down an elevator and save our game.
Yay.
So, that's it for the week. We have finally reached, after our grueling climb and a bunch of plot, the actual important plot point of the Sky City of Shavat.
So you mean this game, like Rogue Galaxy, where like you have to play the first 6 chapters for it to be good. This game, you have to play 35 hours of the game for it to be good.
I will say, unlike Rogue Galaxy, where when you finally get to the fucking planet of Magrathea or whatever, it ends up being like kind of this weird, boring side quest that doesn't matter. No, in this case, when you finally get to the place that you've been trying to go the entire damn game, it actually gets really fucking good instead of being weird and disappointing.
Okay.
So that's good at least. Yeah, so some fun news. We're going to be playing this game one fewer week than expected. Which I found out one reason I pressed these fellas to get through the Tower of Babel was because if they could, then we can get all the way to Solaris in 1 week. So next week you're going to do a bunch of bullshit and get all the way to Solaris. So we're going to be playing next week through. We are now starting the chapter of Sky City Shavat. That is chapter 39 if you were looking at the numbers on a strategy on a game FAQs. And we're going all the way to the end of chapter 45, Gate 3, the Deep. That's right, there's 3 gates. We're going to be doing some gates. It's 3 different dungeons. And then you go to Solaris and save at the first save point you get to. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I do know where it is. I can see it in my head, but I can't remember instructions. But it's really, you're not going to miss it. It's fine. You'll be fine. You go to Solaris' equivalent of an inn, right? And you fucking save. So that's going to be chapter 46 into Solaris. As soon as you get to that save point, you stop playing, and then and that will be that. Yeah. So there's going to be one fewer chapter for the week, which means, Sam, what is it time for?
So that leads into, since we cut off one episode, that means we're now 4 to 5 episodes away from the end, which means it is time to announce the next 2 games that you guys can vote on.
Woo!
So I'm super duper excited because this is my chance to give my auto buy RPGs, and the 2 that I'm proffering forward are Shining Force and Legend of Dragoon. And it's really hard for me to not be biased. Like, these are both 2 of like my top 5 RPGs, but Legend of Dragoon is my number 1, like by leaps and bounds above the others. So, yeah. So I'm trying. It was really hard for me to find ones that, like, on paper I would be happy if we played either one, and I succeeded. Like, I would be happy if we played Shining Force. I'd be happy if we played Legend of Dragoon. But I obviously am way leaning towards Legend of Dragoon. In my write-up that will go online as soon as, like, when I edit this, when you hear this, it will be up on the Patreon. I said that Legend of Dragoon has no bad parts. So when Spiffle was like, we're going to be playing Xenogears, and here's some bad things about Xenogears, but when you get through it, it's worth it. I don't have to give you any of those for Legend of Dragoon. There's no bad parts. There is no jump button. There are times when you jump, but you walk to the edge of the thing and you get an exclamation point above your head and you press X and it jumps you to the next one automatically.
That sounds beautiful. I love it already.
It's great. It also has a cursor above your head to help you keep track of yourself, but that cursor also will turn red when you're about to get into a battle, so you're never sideswiped by a random battle, and it's beautiful. And so those are the 2 things I had to tell Eli to make Eli want to play this game. But in addition, oddly enough, they're called additions. So you've played Mario RPG, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in Mario RPG, when you jump on the bad guy, you can press A at the right time to jump again. Everybody has that, and it gets crazy complicated, and like some of them will be like, oh, you press X here right as you hit and you'll hit twice. Some of them are like, you hit X every time you attack for like 3 attacks and they'll do better. And then some of them are like, okay, you do XX square circle and every time and it'll go better and better. And that's like every attack for the whole game. And it's super awesome because when you do those correctly, you get SP, which is what you use to turn into your Power Ranger, the Dragoon. Like, this is Final Fantasy but Power Rangers, but not like modern Power Rangers. It's like a Final Fantasy type story in medieval stuff, but you all have your transforming magic superpowers, and it's super dope. But the story is basically, you're this guy named Dart who has been off on an adventure to stop the Black Monster, who is the monster that killed your family when you were little. And so you've been trying to get revenge. And so you're coming back home to meet your friend Shauna. But unfortunately, Shauna's village is attacked right when you get there. And so you then are going like on a quest to like free Shauna because she was kidnapped. And that leads, like, that gets you involved in like the political stuff of everything going on, which all happens in like the first episode before you even transform into your Dragoon the first time. And so it very much grounds you in, like, we talked about how Xenogears has a really big world sense. Like when someone is like, oh, there's a gear over there, we know what that means. Legend of Dragoon is even more of that for like political stuff too. So it's like, oh, well, we have to go over to the city of Hoax, which is on the front lines. And you're like, oh no, but if we go on the front lines, then what will the blah, blah, blah capital do of blah, blah, blah? And it like, you feel the whole world. Nothing really feels like, oh, this is just the lava town or whatever. Like it's all like cohesive, and it's really, really dope. It's pretty long, but I think shorter than Xenogears. I think it's like 45 hours long. But that's important because Shining Force, the other one, is about 20 hours long. But Shining Force is Legend of Dragoon is a 3D RPG on the PS1. It has pre-rendered backgrounds. They're gorgeous pre-rendered backgrounds. The music is a bop. But I think it'll actually be your first like traditional RPG in the sense that most people played RPGs on the PS1 and had the pre-rendered backgrounds and moving characters on top of them feel. And as you said, you never were a Sony boy, so this will be your first real one, and it's good that you started on the best one. But
awesome.
Shining Force is so Legend of Dragoon was the first RPG I ever played, and Shining Force was the second one, and this will be important here in a second. So in Shining Force it's a tactical RPG, so you're moving around on your grid and you're fighting people and stuff. And sometimes when you attack, instead of a critical hit, well, I mean, I think in addition to critical hits, you can sometimes attack twice. But because I play Pokemon and had played Legend of Dragoon where it was explicit that this was a thing, and I also had played Paper Mario with my brothers back in the day where this was a thing, I thought that every time you attacked twice, it was because I had hit A at the right time. And so I swore up and down that it was just like Legend of Dragoon and you had an addition system, but I was completely and totally wrong. But to this day, every time I've replayed Shining Force, I press A every time the attack hits because that's what I've been doing since I was 11. But Shining Force, the story is a lot more tropey, but it's from the Sega Genesis, which back in the day, like, all stories were kind of tropey, and it was the ones that tried to not be tropey that ended up like sucking. And all the ones we remember at the time were like, oh, there's a squire and there's a big dark evil and you have to go and stop it. And those kind of work better in the early 16-bit era. But so you play as, I think his name is Max, but you don't know his name. You get to name him. I think his canonical name is Max though. But he's this little squire who has his first like order of business as a knight is to go over and check out this gate. But when he gets there, the big bad army shows up to try and like steal it. So it ends up getting destroyed to like stop them. And then they also use that to attack your hometown. And so then what was just a simple reconnaissance mission now becomes a mission of revenge to go and destroy the dark dragon that they're trying to resurrect. And it's super dope. But for all of the like tropiness that you do way more like character building. And so like every character feels real, which is like doesn't really happen in like strategy games where you get like 17 characters. But this one, so like normally if you're like, okay, well, this character is a mage, and so mages can travel for 4 steps and they can use fire magic. You're like, okay, well, Tara is my mage and she likes to use fire magic. And so even though you're like doing the same thing, you think of it like through characterization, which is super cool. And one of the coolest bits about it is you have a class system, but you don't change classes on the fly. You just kind of digivolve into your second class as you go along. And so your knights will become paladins, your mages will become wizards, those sorts of things. And instead of it just being like, you're now stronger, like they get a complete character, like model overhaul, like their moves are all different. Like they definitely feel like they leveled up, and it's super duper awesome. But it's short. It's, there are no random battles in it. There's no jumping in it. So I think Eli will be happy if we play with either of them.
Yeah.
But because there's no random battles, it can be hard if you like cheese the first couple of fights and like only use your strongest character, and then you get into a fight where you have to like split up. It kind of can suck that there's no random battles, but like Dragon Quest, you still get experience if you lose. So if you go and fight and then have to go back in town and start the fight over again, you still have your experience. And so you can level up that way. You can grind by throwing yourself at the wall repeatedly. But yeah, it's really good. It's like both of these are really good RPGs that not a lot of people played, but most people who played them swear up and down that they're the best RPGs. And
nice.
Yeah. One thing I think is cool, I wanted to bring this up about Shining Force is, so there is a Shining series that definitely starts in Shining in the Darkness, which is the first person dungeon crawler prequel to Shining Force, and then Shining Force 1, 2, 3, and the Game Gear, which is a sort of Heija or something. Those are all Camelot software. But then Sega was like, we own this. Camelot, you can't have this. We're going to give this to somebody else to go and do Shining Force Exa and Shining Sword and Shining Soul and all of these other games that have been really shitty for the past like 20 years. So Camelot Software instead made Golden Sun, which is like one of the most badass RPGs, most beloved RPGs. So this is like, if the Shining Force is the Xenogears to Golden Sun's Xenosaga. So it's like, this is a pre-Golden Sun, and there's a lot of things that Golden Sun does that you'll recognize in Shining Force if you've of course played Golden Sun.
I have not yet. I have it. I just haven't played it.
Yeah, but it's super good, and I'm super excited to play either of these. Definitely more for Legend of Dragoon. I think it's probably the best RPG on the PlayStation. I haven't been like proven wrong at any point yet, because like I said, there are no bad parts. When instead of having to have like long stretches where you don't do anything, each disc is a chapter, and so you have like 4 short RPGs, so they can keep everything concise, and then that evolves into the overarching plot throughout it. And it's less like here in Xenogears, we had this big chunk where like nothing was really happening. We just needed to get Billy. So they like flesh those parts out and like stretch them in a really cool way. So it's really dope. But yeah. If you want to vote on which one of these you want us to play, you can do so at our Patreon. The post will be up as soon as you can hear this, and patrons,
hear the sirens,
right? I'm a mess today. This is going to be a really hard episode to edit, but so you can go and vote on the Patreon. If you want to vote, it is patron only. So this is your incentive to help us out, pay for hosting costs. And yeah, if you really love Shining Force and you don't want us to play Legend of Dragoon, because I know that it is also Matt's favorite and it is also Francesco's favorite, and that's 2 of our 4 voting patrons. So far it's been a heavy lead. But if you want us to play Shining Force, you can go and drop us as little as $1. Every little bit helps us out around here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to vote for Shining Force to make Sam sad, and the rest of y'all are going to vote for Legend of Dragoon to make Sam happy. So. Yeah, that's really the vote. That's really what's important here, right? Is how you feel about Sam personally. I'm just kidding. I'm actually torn. I've wanted to play both of these games for a very long time. So, we're already on this PS1 thing. Maybe we'll just keep doing it. On the other hand, it's nice to get some Sega representation, right? So, yeah. So that pretty much does it for the week. If you like what you hear, and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/RPGbookclub. If you just want to chat, we've got a Twitter at RPGbookclub, email rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our favorite, our Discord, which does not have a catchy URL, link in the description. We've had a shout out to Rachel. I forget her username, but I met her IRL, and her name is Rachel. So shout out to our newest member. She's great. And I know she's a fan of Legends Dragoon, so you're welcome, Sam. Because I added another person who might vote for it. So anyway, join us next week where we play all the way through the end of chapter 45, Gate 3, The Deep, and a tiny little bit, the first save point of the chapter 47, into Solaris. This for RPG Book Club, I have been Michael Spiffle Webben.
I've been Sam Allman.
And I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
Bye, everybody.
Bye!